What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to Down to the Wire. I'm your host, Brian Costa, and today I'm coming at you again with another outstanding athlete interview for you guys. As you know, if you've listened to the show before, I love to talk with athletes from both amateur and professional status, and today I am once again going back to college football. Joining me on the show today is a senior wide receiver for the Bryant University Bulldogs. Over the course of his illustrious career, he's appeared in 37 career games and has recorded 86 receptions for 1,017 yards for 4 touchdowns across 4 seasons. So without any further ado, hailing from Everett, Massachusetts, please welcome the man himself, Mr. David Zorrilla. David, glad to have you here, man.
Glad to be here, dog. Let's start this thing out.
Absolutely, man. So first of all, I'm going to talk to you about, your Bryant career and everything involved with that. But to start things off, I kind of want you to tell me kind of how all this got started. How did you really fall in love with the game of football? Were there individuals? Was there a certain player? What got you really into it?
Okay, well, it started off in elementary school actually, where we would go out to recess. So like in my elementary school, there'd be like a parkway, I guess, or driveway. We'd go outside in the front and play football.
Okay.
So I'd be on the one side, and then there'd be like a thrower on the other side, far end. It'd be all a bunch of us, and he'd just throw the ball up as high as he could, and then I try to just reach up and grab it. I'd probably grab it like 9 out of 10 times, and then I remember, and then like that happened like every other day, and then I remember my guidance counselor coming up to my mom when she would pick me up. Oh, your son, he's actually like really good at catching the football. You should put him in sports. And unfortunately, football is a little money worth. You got to pay for it. So I didn't start playing football until I was, I think, 13 years old.
Okay.
8th grade, I should say, was like my first year playing football.
Okay.
So then ever since then, I just wanted to play, and I kept playing.
So you'd say you were kind of a natural from the very start when you got into it.
I guess you can say that. I was a little stiff, but I did other things other than football. So like that kind of like kept me away. Like I did like kung fu when I was younger.
Really?
Yeah, I did band too. Like I played the drums. So I was a very active kid. My mom never let me like even play video games or stay inside the house. I was always active.
Yeah, I was about to say, as a fellow martial artist, I kind of appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate the grind with that.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
So once you did get involved with football at 13 and then got into everything like that, who were some notable individuals that you could really attribute some of your success to? Are there some coaches, some mentors, some players who really kind of do you kind of credit some of your success to?
One person, one coach. First of all, my mom.
Yeah.
She's always believed in me since day one. If she says, "Oh, you wanna play football, go play football, go chase your dreams." But if we're talking about a coach, one coach that actually I do have in mind, his name is Coach Victor.
Okay.
It was my freshman year of high school, and I'm telling you, I had the worst hands on the team. I dropped like 3 or 4 open touchdowns the whole season, and every single time, ever since the first one, he's like, "You have no hands, you stink," blah blah blah. And I took that kind of personal, like, yeah. And so like I was like, damn, like that's kind of messed up. He was a big fat dude talking, so I was pretty upset. And obviously, like, okay, I caught the first touchdown, like, but it was only a freshman game. And then after that, that summer, I just remember me and my younger brother, who was probably like, who's 4 years younger than me. So at the time I'm 16, he's 12, throwing the ball, like, and I'm catching the ball, one hand here, 2 hands, everything. And I was just working, like, I just really worked that summer after freshman year.
Yeah. I mean, so obviously putting in the work and, developing over the course of high school, it happens for some guys a little bit later. Personally for me, I've talked with some guys that have gotten drafted to the MLB, and is like, and for example, this guy, Sean Burke, I talked with, he said, at the age of 9, he was hitting balls out of like a big league fielder and just doing incredible things on and off the field. And he was like, yeah, I knew from kind of the beginning things where I was going to be able to go D1 and have a career like this. For you, when did that kind of come about where you realized, okay, I might have a shot to play Division I football and actually have a kind of a, be able to grow my career beyond high school?
It was kind of hard for me, honestly, because in high school, I really didn't play as much. I would say like I probably only got like 10 snaps a game, maybe even less sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. So it was harder for me because everyone knew like in high school, like, okay, I was really like, I was good. I'm not going to say I was bad. Like, I'm not going to say I stunk, but like I was pretty good in high school. But unfortunately, our team, also had Division I players.
Yeah.
One receiver, Zach Costa, Carolina, who's probably a draft pick, second round draft pick, tight end right now. Another one's at BC. another one. Two of them are actually playing in the playoffs this January 1st, I think it is.
Really?
Michigan and Georgia. One's the safety, one's the receiver.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it was like it seems like impressive, but it was pretty tough. But like, I love those guys to death. I grew up with those guys, and they taught me a lot, and I taught them a lot, and we all just grew up playing together. So it was really hard to get like a recruitment process going, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. So junior year was when I was like, damn, like I don't know if I want to transfer this and that. I just stuck to it. I went to camps, and gladly enough, I got my first offer here at Bryant, just going to camp. Mm-hmm. And then every other camp I went to, they said, we want to offer you this and that. You look good. You can run, but you have no film to show us, like, you can play football.
Okay.
And like, like I said before, like I take things personal, and I keep it in my heart and my mind. So I was like, damn, like it's really like that. Like I can't even like get an offer, even like beating kids, like just one-on-ones, like in your face. So it was really hard for me to, like, I guess you could say, bloom, like, or like show people I can play. Mm-hmm. The first time me actually like feeling like I can play was this past spring season.
Yeah.
It was only 4 games. Obviously it wasn't a career year as I had this year. Thank God. But it showed people, okay, this dude can play. Like he can play some football. But so yeah, I want to say, like, even in high school, it was like really hard to just show people like I can play football.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing though. This was something I wanted to touch on later, but because you brought it up, you obviously, you talked about the career year you had this year, and, off the charts. I mean, I was looking at your numbers coming into today, and on your year by year, it was like, I think you had like 131 year, 150 in your sophomore year. Obviously, in the shortened year, you had 98 yards, and it, over a short span of games, it looks, kind of promising for a small sample size. And then this year, you had 623 yards just out of nowhere. Was multiplied your stats, by times 6, and I'm like, where did this come from? Like, what led to all like this just amazing kind of senior season for yourself?
Well, obviously it starts with like just working hard.
Yeah.
I took this off season.
What did you do differently though?
So like I said before, I take things personally.
Yeah.
And this spring season, honestly, my sophomore year and this past season was just like, like we can have a quarterback. I can make all the excuses way I want. Mm-hmm. I can have a quarterback. We can't have a quarterback. We don't have an offensive line. We only run the ball. We don't have a passing game. But honestly, like those excuses, like just put them aside. I just said, F that. I just want to work hard. So what I did, like after that COVID season, I took obviously some time to rest.
Yeah.
And then I just once my body was healed up, I took pride in working out. I just did everything 1,000% more than what I could.
Absolutely.
And I really wanted, it just got to a point where I was like I don't want to like be mediocre. My receivers coach tells me there's a difference between mediocre, good, great, average, and good, average, great, and elite.
Yeah.
He said I was in that good, great to average receiver, and he said, what can you do to be elite? And I said, I want to be elite. So that's the step that I took when I was working out this summer. I just did all that I could. I stayed here. I didn't want to go home for all the distractions.
Really?
So I was here all summer. We had a group of guys come into a bunch of my teammates, and we all just grinded out, worked hard. I worked on my craft. I worked on catching the football, and yeah.
I mean, staying here over the summer and, doing all that stuff, that's quite the commitment for yourself to, finals end up closing out. Everyone's going home for the summer. The campus is being vacated. And I don't know, for me personally, whenever finals is over, I'm ready to get the heck out of here. I'm like, peace out. Like I'm gone. So to stay around with those guys, did you kind of have a feeling that you were like missing out and kind of enjoying like being in your 20s, doing all that stuff that, a normal kid your age would do? Or did you?
Yeah, of course. Like obviously I want to go out with my teammates or even my friends who aren't football or aren't athletes, I should say, and just go out, just have fun. Listen to music, walk around the beat. Like this is all the regular people do, but
exactly,
like I want to say like I have a goal. Like I'm not saying it's like a bad thing, but I just like there's some things like I would sacrifice in life just to like just to be good at like what I do and like to reach my goal, because I know later in the day, if I do reach that goal and I do hopefully, make a lot of money, I can bring those people who I sacrifice for with me and do a lot of fun things after that when my career is over.
Absolutely. I mean, just to show that kind of dedication, it really does. It is what separates the great guys from the elite guys. So the fact that you're willing to put that in, especially at this age, it does show that kind of drive and competitiveness. What I guess I have to ask is, you were talking about putting in the work, doing all that stuff, and really working for a lot of the success you've had today. And during college, it's kind of had to be where you've had to kind of put your nose to the grindstone and really work for it.
Yeah.
But what I kind of want to know is, during this process, what has been maybe the biggest obstacle for you so far, throughout your time here at Bryant? It could be an injury that you sustained at one point. It could be, some coaches doubting you, like that coach that you were talking about early on in your career. What would you say is probably the biggest obstacle that you've had to face over the course of your football career?
Well, it was just like, it's hard to say because I've been through a lot. I'm not gonna lie, being an athlete, like make sure keep your head up, mental health. If you need to talk to someone, go talk to someone. That's the first thing I need to say. Second off, I think going in high school was probably the hardest like moments or like time of my life. Yeah. Just because it felt so like I felt so downgraded, not being able to be on the field, like not to show people like I can play football. Like I know we talked about this before. Yeah. But like when your mom and family's in the stands, like, and you're just like, damn, like she's up there, but I'm not out there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like being on the bench, like it's really, really, really hard for an athlete, especially when like you can play. Like
and then when you do get on the field, it's like, oh shoot, I only have like 10 snaps to really, impress my family, impress the coaches and do all that stuff. It's craziness.
Yeah, it's not even like an impression. It's just like it's like a more of a self-respect thing. Like you just like like I know like I could do like so much for the team. Yeah. But like I know my role, like it is what it is. Yeah. And things happen and honestly, like it's the path I chose to take. It's a sacrifice I made so like I wouldn't leave. Like who knows? Like obviously, who knows? Like if I did leave, who knows if I'll be out of Alabama right now? Like it is what it is. Though I love where I'm at right now. I love the path that I took. Yeah. And so like I guess like that's one of the things. Like just after the game, hey Dave, it's okay. You guys won. We were winning a lot, so I ended up with two championships. One my junior year, one my senior year.
That's awesome. Man.
I did.
You guys got to play at Gillette.
Yeah, we did actually get to play at Gillette at my senior year. That was a good experience.
I've been to a state championship game there. Did not play. I mean, look at me. I didn't play in that state championship game. My friend John did. I mean, and getting to witness them win it there, that had to have been an exhilarating feeling for you guys.
It was. I remember after we won, a bunch of my teammates, including me, because in the stands it was like the Everett fans, and then the Zavarian fans, and we just run up, like we jump up to the stands, and we are hugging everyone, hugging my family. So it was a good time.
That is awesome. Yeah, man.
But that was the only good part about like being there. It was just like we were winning, and I did grow up with those guys. I'm not gonna lie, and like practices were honestly like were fun. Yeah, because it was like the first defense. I didn't get a lot of snaps on offense for practice, but I did get a lot of snaps for like it was like a scout offense. So I would help the defense prepare for the opposing team. Yeah, and that's what I did. And like my receivers coach back then was like, you're not getting a lot of snaps in a game, so we got to treat this like this is your game. Yeah. So that's really where like I improved my craft. I did like all these one-handed catches or catching over people, and that's really where I like would say like brought me or like the player I am today. That is why I am the player I am today, because of all those scout team.
I mean, those one-handed catches definitely paid off. I saw some in your highlight tape this year, so those definitely did end up contributing to some pretty sick plays down the line.
Thank you.
But I guess once coming here, you've had many memories throughout college now, and you've had some greater success later on throughout your Bryant career. In your mind, what would be some of your favorite memories that you've had over the course of now being a Bryant Bulldog and being here at Bryant University?
As an athlete, or just as like a student in general?
Give me some of both.
So as an athlete, I guess my one moment I will remember for the rest of my life is scoring my first ever touchdown, like career. Yeah. Like I didn't score in high school.
Really?
Yeah. And I was only getting 10 stops a game and we were winning by 50 every game.
Yeah.
So it was my freshman year, first game. I'm starting. First time he's starting. I started on kick return. Okay. And I remember I had to get my one guy, and Gene Constant was the kick returner, and he had scored the first play of the game. He scores for 98-yard touchdown or whatever. Oh, like 96 or whatever. Yeah. It was a long touchdown run.
Wow.
And so that happened. And then I think it was our first drive of the game too. Yeah. We start off at like the 10-yard line, our 10-yard line, and we drive down the field halfway. And then obviously the ones are getting tired. I'm a 2 at the time. Yeah. And so we start at the halfway mark at the 50. And I remember us driving, but every time we drive, get 10, 15 yards, it'd be a flag, a holding call or whatever. So we get back. So we drive down to 15, and like I have a post route. Mm-hmm. I have like a post route, and Price Wilson, who was at the time the quarterback, threw me the ball, and I see another flag.
Oh no!
I score, but I see the flag, so I'm thinking, another flag. We're gonna bring it back. I give the ball to the ref. One of my ex-teammates, who's not here right now, goes, "Zorrilla, you scored." I was like, "What? You scored?" I didn't even know I scored.
Oh my God, man!
So that memory right there, even just that whole game, I was just like. My family was there. Everyone, oh my God, Dave, you played a lot. I've never seen you play this much. It's like, oh my God, like I just remember that. It was so heartwarming, and I just wanted to make everyone proud and show everyone that I could play football.
Yeah, and then I guess as a student as well would be something that is like impression that kind of still resonates with you.
I'd say getting my first A on a test.
Really?
It was right before COVID. Okay. Right before it was my sophomore year, right before spring break. Yeah. I was taking a management test, and professor calls me up. David, did you cheat on the test? I said, no, why would I cheat? Like, you saw me. And he says, well, you got a 9, I think it was like a 90 or 91. He was like, I'm very proud of you because the first exam you took was pretty bad. It was like a 54.
Oh, geez.
That was my first ever A in the class and on a test. I was always a B kid.
Okay, yeah.
Not wrong. Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
I told my mom, I got a 90. I told my academic advisor, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. And that was just like a very happy day.
Yeah. So that's obviously a great memory to have as well. I mean, I know that there were definitely some tests here that I've bombed my fair share of as well. So I definitely can relish in the fact of when you get that A. And
I definitely, yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, putting in that work, it obviously does feel good. I guess another memory that, you were kind of telling me about beforehand, I don't know if it's something that started with your teammates, but what is this whole lemonade thing that you were you were mentioning it to me? So there's like this whole thing. So kind of get into that with me. What is this?
Okay. Well, it was when I was in high school. Yeah. Me and my best friend, Cordell.
Okay.
He went to Ever High.
Yeah.
And then he had transferred because, it was the same situation with me. He played quarterback and then he played receiver. So he wanted out of there. He wanted to play. Mm-hmm. So he leaves. He goes to another school. And then I remember one time I think he posted on his Snapchat the Jay-Z song. The lemonade is so popular, drinking still. And then
the All About remix.
Yeah.
All the way up remix, rather.
And then he texts me. Posting your story, lemonade's a popular drink. I was like, what does that even mean? I was like, what? I say the same thing. I said the same thing what everyone else says. What does that mean? I was like, it's just do it. Like, just do it. And so I posted on my story. He was like, I wasn't even a big lemonade guy back then. I wasn't like, I don't know. Like, and then one time we would hang out. He would always drive everywhere. Yeah. We would hang out. Oh, I got to go to the store. I'm going to get a lemonade. What is it with the lemonade? So I was like, you know what? He's like, just get one, dude. Just get one. So I got one. And then like, it just started like going and
became
going.
A part of your personality.
Yeah, it just kept going and going and going. Like I would go to the store, lemonade. And it was just like, what the? And then, we both just kept saying it. We both put it everywhere. Post, lemonade's a popular drink. Lemonade's a popular drink. And it was like, yo, what is good with the lemonade? Relax. Like it's part of me. Like I think.
I mean, it's in your Instagram bio. Like still, I'm like, I was like, that is an old music quote. What is going on with that?
And so I think like I see it as like it's like a part of me, and I think of it as, it's our thing.
Yeah,
we have a really good bond. Me and my best friend. We've grown up together. He's actually like one of the people who honestly helped me improve my game too. Like when I wasn't playing football, I was playing flag football. So I was always like I said, I was always active, and
yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, I'm glad that you're able to have that kind of a relationship. So before I do go with you, I just want to ask, and I ask this to all the athletes that I have on this show, and it's basically that whatever happens with football, you could play another year, you could go to you could go to the NFL. Anything could happen with any guy playing football, but eventually it does come to an end, unfortunately, for all athletes. What I want to ask you is, when that day does come, whether it's a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whenever that day is to come for you and you have to hang up the cleats at the end of the day, what in your mind is something you want to do after athletics?
Well, I mentioned it before about the mental health.
Yes.
And I understand that athletes do go through things and they do not want to talk about it, and they're down about it.
Yeah.
So I do want to go into that field of work where I am able to help athletes overcome and go through that dark place, so they don't go to a place where they make bad decisions in their life, or maybe even have to take time off of football or whatever sport they play.
Yeah.
So that's really what I've been looking into recently, because we all go through that, down that dark place that we don't want to go to. Absolutely. And it's very saddening that people do take their lives, and that's what we don't want in this world. So that's what I want to do, and that's what I want to help improve in the country.
That's amazing, man. I hope you do get to do that. So, all right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Bryant Wideout, David Zorrilla. Obviously an amazing individual to talk to. Got a chance to talk with him before the interview leading up to this week. And man, he's just a great guy all around. Great interview just in general. And I really hope that after football, he does get a chance to dive into the mental health world. That is something that I really am gunning for him to be able to do. But in this next clip, this is actually an interview that I ended up doing as a part of a class assignment for my friend Graysen Mortimer. I've known Graysen for a long time now. And when he gave me the opportunity to talk about NFL safety as a part of a class for him, I jumped at the opportunity, and that's what you're going to see coming up next.
Yeah, how's your day been going, first of all?
Day's been pretty solid. I mean, it's been pretty enjoyable.
All right, fair enough.
Pretty low key.
Okay, all right, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
For sure. So I just have a few questions about your thoughts on what the NFL is doing in terms of its safety precautions.
Okay.
So the first one I have is just kind of straight up, how do you perceive the current NFL safety precautions? Do you believe players are being treated with the proper care, or do you think there's a little more that they could be doing to prevent injuries?
So when it comes to the NFL, I think that they're being given better care than they were previously, and you can attribute some of that to more knowledge over time, in the NFL becoming more aware and more sensitive to their players. But at the same time, the NFL is a business, and personally, I believe that for a large portion of it, they've done a lot of the care and stuff for their players because they were caught so badly for it earlier on, around the 2000s or so. Like, we've seen that movie Concussion with Will Smith, which was kind of that based on true story of the whole ordeal that went down there. And basically, because the NFL got caught for how badly they handled the health of their players before, I think they had to step up and kind of go above and beyond in order to show that, hey, we messed up before, but now we're going to make up for it.
All right, that's I think that's fair. Good solid answer there. The next one I have is we're talking about like really dirty hits. So in the previous interview I talked about Vontaze Burfict. And like someone like him. Do you think that when a player makes a very dirty hit, like something like clearly intentional, straight to the head, do you think they should be banned for at least 4 games?
So when it comes to Vontaze Burfict, there's no question in my mind that he's a dirty player. I mean, he just embodies that whole mentality. And I think he's even come out and said that that's just how he plays. And you talk about, the impacting certain players. I mean, when you look at a guy like Antonio Brown, for example, which, he had that hit on and so brutally. I mean, look at how Antonio Brown has, changed as it has changed in general, like since that hit. Obviously, it's impossible to do a true correlation of how things have gone since things that have happened in his life since that hit. But when you actually look at it, and look at it in interviews with Antonio Brown before the incidents going on, he was very positive speaking when it came to his situation in Pittsburgh. He always talked up about Ben Roethlisberger and Coach Mike Tomlin. He never seemed to talk down about them. And then after that hit, he kind of had, he obviously had his own personal struggles, but there were also some, very crazy off the field scandals that he got himself into as well. So when it comes to a guy like Vontaze Burfict, and it has a history of it, I would say, like, when that there is a recorded history of it, I think that there is an appropriate suspension that you can throw in place. I think 4 games for especially a guy like him is warranted for a first offense, especially if you can try to see that maybe a guy was, flying out of control and it was just two out of position players. You can make a case, but when it's warranted, I think 4 games is a decent punishment that you could put in place.
All right, fair enough. Good answer. Yeah, so the next one I have is, over the years we've seen the NFL put, a few more safety precautions in place.
Yeah.
Do you think these have taken away from the game at all, or do you think that they're necessary and provide a pathway for more player success?
So when it comes to the NFL penalties, I find it that, in some cases, obviously, if we went back to the NFL of the 70s, of the 60s and 70s, like most of the players like we'd have today wouldn't even be able to like stay on the field. It'd be mayhem out there. So I think that the NFL has made the correct strides in trying to, make the game more safe and avoid all these dangerous injuries and stuff like that. But it does come a point when a guy like Clay Matthews, it gets penalized all the time for, roughing the passer calls after, while in the actual act of sacking the quarterback while he still has the ball in his possession. I think that there is a case there that, it has gotten a little bit, too much. And while I am all for player safety, I'm also still in it for the game of football. Like we are football fans watch because of that contact, because of that, violence that goes on in the field. Whether you can control that violence and try to make it, more like better off for the players, that's obviously a tough road to kind of navigate. But when you can get on that area and try to figure out how to do it, I personally think that the refs have, made it worse and the calls have made it worse. But I am for player safety, but yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Honestly, I think overall, you want to be safe, but at the same time, you want to keep it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep it real with them. Yeah. So I got the next question I have. What made me think of this question was the game last year. It was the Giants against the 49ers at MetLife.
Okay.
I think about 5 players got injured in that game. And one of the main talking points of that game was the surface of the field. Do you think that turf fields should be either banned or changed to grass to make it more safe? Do you think grass is a better alternative? Give me your thoughts on that.
So I think turf fields, when they're done correctly, can be effective and are good. It's when they don't go according to plan is when things go bad. I mean, if you look back on, I think the NFL had a Hall of Fame game a couple of years ago. I think the Packers were scheduled to play in it, and they were unable to play in the game because the playing surface and the paint that was put on the field was messed up beforehand. When it comes to managing a turf field, very specific things have to go into play. So when it comes to it, you have to be aware of that. And, you have to make sure you're taking care. You have to make sure everything is secured into place and everything is going to be able to survive the impact that each of these players are putting out onto the field of play. AstroTurf, which was the, original turf that came into play, and it was made famous because it was used in the Houston Astrodome. It was kind of like a carpet. It wasn't anything that it wasn't very friendly. It wasn't forgiving for athletes, and they had to adapt. Some of the better turf that we see now, it's definitely better off for athletes. And I think if it's done correctly, then I think you can keep it going. But when you see some of these like old fields, I think you have to try to renovate and try to fix those.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think so too. I think turf is good. I've played
when it's done right.
Yeah. When it's done right, yeah, I think turf works. Otherwise, I mean, I definitely like soccer as well, but I think grass fields for it are definitely better. But
when it comes to baseball as well, I'm 100% all for grass fields, all for natural fields. I've been seeing a trend in baseball of them trying to put in a lot more turf fields, and it's more to make all purpose fields, and so it can be like, oh, we have this baseball field, but in the fall the soccer players can play on it, and and while that may be more economical and better off for the players, when it comes to a baseball player, I'd rather play on a grass field because
For the NFL, I think both definitely fit. The last question I have is about concussions.
Okay.
Do you think the current concussion safety protocols are good, or do you think they should be improved upon?
So I think that they have obviously been improved upon up to this point. You can make a case that you could do more going forward. I mean, I look back to Julian Edelman in Super Bowl 49 when he absolutely just got cracked on the head, going over the middle of the field, and somehow was able to finish the game. Now, while he did catch the game-winning touchdown for us, there's no way that he actually should have been able to do that. I mean, if you just looking off of it. And what's tough is in those do or die situations when it comes down to it, and saying what's going to be difficult is deciding, oh, you may have a head injury here, but there's kind of a gray area to, hey, the game's on the line, we need you. And it's going to really be, do you sacrifice the future for the present? And while many fans will say yes, a lot of players looking back on it may have second thoughts about it, but I think the NFL is doing a decent job right now. Obviously, when more knowledge and more technology comes out, I think that's something we definitely need to look into. Another interesting thing as well is that as part of the NFL's original concussion, crackdown, I think, which happened. There are obviously been multiple crackdowns, but one specific one happened around 2013 where they banned like alternate helmets. Now those are making a comeback in 2022, but what was interesting about that is they ended up saying, hey, we're just going to have one team just wear one helmet because we want to have them all, specified to these concussion measures. Now they're allowing more helmets that are being made to, they're allowing teams to wear these alternate helmets, meaning that the majority of helmets being made nowadays probably are up to those standards. So hopefully with more technology coming out, we're able to adapt and go forward with it.
All righty. Well, that's all I have. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, you guys. So you guys just saw my clip with Graysen Mortimer, obviously good friend of mine. I've known him since before I even came to Bryant. Was one of the first people that I knew when I decided I was going to come to this school. So obviously was a great time getting the chance to talk with him. But now this next clip, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. It's a little cringy. At least on my part, it's cringy. It is. But that's because it was shot about 2 years ago and I look like a baby. Like, I don't get it. COVID did something to me, man. Like, it did something to me because I don't even look remotely like the kid that you're about to see in the next clip. But basically what I did in the next clip, and it's going to look very well shot. Like, it's professionally shot. And the reason it looks like that is because it was a part of my basic studio production class I did my freshman year. And it has pretty high quality for a production class. And basically I ended up interviewing Racquetball captain Michael LaVallee. I sat down with him. It was a quick little 5-minute interview, but obviously got a lot of info out of him, and I hope that you guys enjoy what I have from him.
Racquetball is a scholarship sport across the country, but is a club sport within the Northeast. Our guest today has been playing racquetball at Bryant for 4 years. He has competed for 2 national championships and will attend another next month. He has been the racquetball team president since his sophomore year and was recently named league MVP. Please welcome Michael LaVallee. Michael, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you, Brian?
I'm good. So for some of our fans at home that aren't really too knowledgeable about the sport, how would you best kind of like explain racquetball?
So I would kind of explain racquetball as like something you're just trapped in a box, and like you're just hitting a ball around, and as you see it, you're just running around in a circle, and like your first time in there, you just run around with you're like a chicken with its head cut off. And it still almost feels that when you're playing someone that's on the same level as you, because matches last forever, it's really long, and it's exhausting at times, especially when you play someone on a high level.
So that's crazy. So what really made you what really got you interested in the sport?
So when I believe I was a junior in high school actually at the time. Okay. And I'd never played before, and I was over my friend's house. I live in Smithfield, so I'm very close to Bryant. And they were like, hey, you want to go play racquetball tomorrow? And I was like, what the hell is racquetball? And I was like, sure, I'll go play. And I just went in there with a racket. I didn't know any of the rules, and we just hit a ball for probably like 3 hours, and I came out drenched, and I just had a blast. And then when I came to Bryant and went to the org fair, I was like, I'm going to see if they have a racquetball team. And lo and behold, I found it, and I just found something that I have a passion for now, and I love to play.
So how much of a commitment would you say that the sport really is?
I think it depends on the person, because you can make it as much of a commitment as you want. Like I myself, I go to practice like 3 times a week, but like other players, they come like once a week, once every other week. And like even if you have schoolwork and other things like that, like we don't have mandatory practices. It's come as your leisure, you can get better, and if you have something else to do, go do it. Like school is your priority.
So how much would you say for it being a club sport, how much would you say, like, how competitive is it across the country?
In the Northeast, at least in our division, it's competitive because we're all about the same skill level. Most of us have either played like baseball, which is a very similar swing mechanic, or like softball or for the girls, and tennis for some other people too. And so like we're all on similar levels, like athleticism wise, but when you go out west, it's so much different. Like they have like high school racquetball teams, and they're playing from like 8 years old and on, and like you can really see the difference in someone that's been playing since they're 8 years old versus they start in college like I did.
So as a pretty integral member of the team, you said you've been to practice, you go to practice many times a week. What made you really, during your sophomore year, choose to become the league president?
You mean the team president?
Team president, my apologies.
No worries. So I kind of saw it as I really didn't have any other choice, and I didn't want this team to die. And so looking at the team, we didn't have any juniors.
Okay.
And we had a lot of committed sophomores at the time, and I wanted to make sure this program lived, and I wanted to try to make it live for generations to come, and hopefully many more years after me. And even right now, we still have to continue doing that and getting more members and building up the younger players on the team.
That's awesome. So as the president now, what are some of the duties that you have to fulfill in that role?
That role, I'm gonna go with it's mostly booking tournaments. Like you have to be on top of your emails. You have to coordinate with the athletic director and booking tournaments, paying dues to the league, and on top of that, making sure the budget is done, which I actually do with our treasurer.
Okay. So what would you say is probably your craziest racquetball story from all your years playing now?
That's a good one. Ooh. I think one of my craziest ones is probably my second tournament ever. I was reffing, and we all hate reffing because the way our league runs is you have to ref if you lose. So I lost, and I'm reffing, and I'm just like, I'm reffing these really good doubles team. And like they're really good, and it's my second tournament ever. I don't know the rules that well, and so he goes to go hit a shot, and he doesn't swing because the guy's in his way, and I just call a replay. I didn't know there was another rule where he actually should have gotten a point there because the guy was taking the shot away completely and didn't move properly. And afterwards, I went and apologized to him, and he explained the rule to me because everyone in our league's really nice. Like if you go up and talk to him after, like in the heat of the moment, he was like, "What are you talking about?" But like. At that moment, I kind of realized like how much of a friendly league we had, and like how like it's a family.
It's really just unified.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So we're almost out of time, but I have one more question for you. What would you say has been some of your biggest challenges as a player, and how have you overcome them in your time in your time at Bryant?
I think probably knee injury happened sophomore year. I had a nagging knee injury from probably November through the rest of the season, and I just played through it. I tried to do anything I could to help it, and eventually I was like, I need to get this checked out. And I ended up, I went to the doctor, ended up going to physical therapy. I figured out that it was kind of a strength problem, and I had poor mechanics in the way I actually moved on the court. So I worked to fix that through the summer by strengthening both my legs so that they were more equal, and then working to move better on the court by shuffling more instead of like lunging towards the ball.
That's awesome. So Michael, thank you very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching Bryant Buzz. Please tune in next week to learn more about the Ultimate Frisbee team. Goodbye and have a great night. Oh, good.
Hope that
That worked. Yeah, solid. Probably have to do something to it. Chances are.
I mean, I warned you guys that I looked like a baby, right? Like, I don't know what was going on with my hair. I look completely different in comparison now. I mean, listen, you can tell I'm the same guy, but like, I was a different human at that point in time. COVID did something to me. I have no clue what it was, but obviously, you guys, this was a little bit of a weirder episode in comparison to what I typically do on the show. Typically, there is like a general theme, either it's sports talk or an interview. This was a little bit of both. So in the future, if you want to maybe see some clips that I took that maybe never made it to air and maybe are kind of on the cutting room floor, get thrown into some episodes here and there to, have some more unique episodes, let me know and I'll try to do that going forward. But unfortunately, guys, we are now down to the wire, which means that we're going to review everything that we talked about in this episode and send you guys off into this weekend, hopefully on a good note. I know here on Bryant University's campus, next week is finals week. So hopefully this could be a good stress relief before you guys go into the weekend. But to start this episode off, we ended up interviewing Bryant University wide receiver David Zorrilla. Talked to him about his career so far, all the challenges that he's faced, and what he plans to do after football. After that, we then talked with Graysen Mortimer for an interview that I did with him about the future of NFL safety and where it's gone and where it's going. And then to close things off, we had my interview from freshman year where I ended up interviewing Racquetball captain Michael LaVallee. It was a great time doing the interview, and I hope that you guys ended up enjoying this kind of very weird, odd, thrown together podcast. If you guys do like it, let me know, and I'll try to throw it together, something like that together, maybe more often. But listen, if you guys aren't falling down to the wire at this point, what are you guys doing? We're available everywhere you guys can find podcasts, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube. But the main hub you guys can reach us on for the 10 millionth time, let me tell you that, is our Instagram. You can follow that at down.tothewire on Instagram. Again, at down.tothewire on Instagram. Thank you guys so much for listening. And from Down to the Wire, I'm Brian Costa. We hope you guys have an amazing weekend. Take care, you guys.